No applause? Oh no. What's going on? I always love this stuff when it doesn't work right. So, folks, you know what this means. It's 4 p.m. Pacific. This must be
No,
Pillars
Central. 4 p.m. Central.
Right. 4 p.m.
Oh. Where are you, Fred?
I don't know. All I know is the fireworks you hear in the background, or those that have been complaining that it is in fact thunder. It's our second year anniversary show of. Oh, see, that sounded like a distant firework, didn't it? But this is.
Pillars of franchising. Pillars.
And I'm Fred McMurray. Welcome to the second anniversary Pillars of Franchising with I and my co-host Ray Pillar. Today we've got a very special co-host, the well-renowned and multi-traveled Kristin Bloomingdale. No, I'm not going to say the last name because we know how. Even when I asked my partner earlier today. Yeah, that's what she said, but I'm bound to say, who was our very, very first emergency co-host. Mm-hmm. She didn't even realize it when she got on the show until it's like, no, Ray's not around. He's late. So she's our very special co-host. And Kristin, who's our guest today in this madness of the second anniversary?
Our guest today is Moni. Singh, I hope I had said that right, because we didn't talk about that part.
That's correct, Kristin.
Excellent.
Welcome to the show.
Moni is with STEM for Kids.
Welcome for the show.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here for your second year anniversary. Congratulations to all of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been a fun show. We like to have a little fun along the way.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Or if you prefer.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
So yes, our second anniversary. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome. Kudos to you for being brave enough to come on the show.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be here.
Why don't you introduce our guest? Give us a bit of a bio.
Who? Who are you talking? Moni has already been introduced, and she is the CEO and founder of STEM for Kids. Wow, what an exciting franchise that has to be, really. You know, I can't think of anything better than that as a franchise. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, Ray. I'm trying to think about where to begin. So let me first kind of go back into how things started and what STEM for Kids is all about. So STEM for Kids, first of all, is all about making the wonders of science and engineering exciting for young children. And it's I used to be in my own professional career. I used to be living the world of STEM. I started off as an engineer, and then I moved on to do different things. And lo and behold, here I am, and never imagined I would ever be in the space of education. But we are creating wonderful adventures for young children as they're delving into computer coding, robotics, and engineering themes. And we're talking little children, like ages 4 to 14, so elementary, middle school level kids. So yeah, I mean, we basically help them, learn how to make computer games instead of just playing games. Make computer games, play with them, have your friends play with it. They are, learning about artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. They're learning about aerospace engineering, how things go up in the sky. So biomedical, how do our human body works and how people are figuring out making prosthetic limbs. So it's just super exciting, getting young children into thinking about some of these exciting topics.
So you said young children. What age groups does the franchise get involved with?
Yeah, so we work with ages 4 to 14. So that's pre-K, but mostly elementary and middle school level.
Mm-hmm. And I have a grandson who's 3.5, and that means that I could sign up with one of the STEM for Kids classes. Is that correct?
In about 6 months, yes.
Yeah.
By age 4, he'll be ready to go.
So that tells us a little bit about the actual franchise. But what about how does one get involved in opening up one of these classrooms?
Basically, what we find is that people, most of the times parents, right? Parents who have young children and they are looking to make a change in their career. We see a lot of people who are in that stage in their life. They've worked and now they're feeling like I need to have some more time, maybe spend some more time with our kids or have better control, create a legacy, make an impacting change. Any of those things, people start thinking about making a change. And we are seeing a lot of people, many of them parents themselves, and they're trying to find an enriching program for their kids. And they say, let me do something broader about that. So yeah, I mean, if people are interested in becoming a part of it, they can become a franchisee. We're also seeing even businesses who are already in the area of serving children. You could be operating an arts club or a music club, a daycare center. And we are seeing a lot of interest from these people in terms of diversifying revenue, right? Because STEM is so much in demand, and there are parents, the educators. You look in the education space, people are talking about how do we get children to look into these possibilities while they are still little. So yeah, I mean, franchising is open in various markets, actually all throughout US and even internationally.
And Kristin has children that are all of that age. Is that correct, Kristin?
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, my oldest just turned 15, but we started with STEM in our schools about 4 or 5 years ago now. And so I could certainly see not only would this, I guess my question and my thought would be that this is probably a nice supplement to what the schools are doing. And or is it more of, or maybe both, something that you would want to see more in districts that maybe STEM is not available in the public schools? Is it kind of a little bit of both, Moni?
Yeah, absolutely. It is both. We are seeing many schools and districts who are, doing things to get more STEM into their school systems. And some of them are going down the pathway of let's do it ourselves. Some of them are saying, let's bring experts in to bring the programming in for the students. And some schools and school districts are doing both, because the fact of the matter is that the STEM world is evolving so fast. I mean, if you just think about technologies, how they have changed in the last 10 years, right? I mean, we started with, I think 10 years ago, we still had Blackberries in our hand, if I'm not wrong. And now we have all these sleek smartphones, right? Things have changed so much. And what typically happens is that if you try to burden the educators, the teachers, to go figure out all this change that's happening, it is another layer of complexity on top of all the other things that teachers are already doing. So many times schools and school districts say, okay, let's find what's out there and bring those programming in. So we do see a combination. We are working with schools and districts who are already doing some things in STEM. We are also doing with completely greenfield, school district where they don't have anything and they're trying to make some entry into the world of STEM. So it's a combination, and I think it's really the fact is that the STEM skills are so broad and they apply in so many different occupations. It's not necessarily just STEM occupations, even non-STEM. And the schools and districts are realizing that. And I think it's so important that realization is happening and people are taking action, towards that end.
I think it's awesome. I know that we had a big push in our schools in the summer. Most of the kids will go to STEM camp, and they have some very special STEM camps for girls because they want to make sure that the young girls are really understanding that, English isn't, like, for me, English was always my thing, right? Math wasn't really for me. Well, now you have more and more girls who are becoming interested in math, science, technology, engineering, and I think that's awesome. I think it's also probably very important that as everyone focuses more on STEM for the children today, we need to be more of a leader in the world when it comes to those fields, and I think that we've really lacked that in the last few probably decades. So I think it's great timing for a program like yours to come on as a franchise.
Yeah. And it's interesting, and I tell people a couple of decades ago when I was in engineering school, and I was one of three girls in a class of 120, statistics like that, and I'm surprised that even to this date we still see similar statistics when it comes to engineering schools. But here's something very interesting. Back in those days when I was deciding what field of engineering to go into, and there were people, and I grew up in India, so a little bit of a contextual shift, right? You don't imagine having air conditioning, at least not at that point in time. So people were saying, go for computer science, because if you are in a computer science field, you are definitely going to be in air-conditioned rooms.
That would be my strategy. I would think of that. Yeah, that's great.
So that was part of my decision-making process. But fast forward, even today, computer science is such a wonderful career choice, especially for girls, because it is not as labor-intensive, if I can say it that way, some of the other engineering fields. But we do see again, and overall in many engineering fields, women are making strides, and I think we need to find a way to encourage more and more girls, because it is just the whole aspect of creating something, and I know girls do really well with that, and being able to see that kind of take shape in front of your eyes, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and we are seeing a lot of schools and organizations taking those initiatives and encouraging more and more girls into these programs.
That's awesome.
I know you said you were in India when you came to this conclusion, but I got to tell you, I was living in Indiana in the cornfield, and I came to the same conclusion of it's better doing computer stuff, because at least you were, even if you had to be punching away at a keyboard, you were still better off in an air-conditioned room. So, yeah, Indiana, I'm not sure.
I'm going to ask a question, though. The acronym of STEM is relatively new, but I think all the elements have always of STEM have been taught in schools for a long time. How did this whole thing come about, where we're trying to, kind of bring it all together?
Yeah, very good question. And let me actually do a very quick history tutorial on this one.
Yeah.
So, if I look at this whole space of education enrichment, back, I think a couple of decades ago, so this is when I was probably coming out of my college, we had one player up from North Canada who I believe that they began the space really focusing more on sciences and chemistry. And then what we saw is towards the turn of the century, so about 2000s, we saw a lot of those robotics players coming into the market. And all this education space is all about, hey, let's make Lego and put pieces together and make robots out of it. Towards the end of that decade, so about 2009, 10 is where we started seeing the STEM movement taking place, where people said, there's more to science than just like robotics and chemistry. And there was more of an emphasis around, okay, let's talk about physics and creating some other things using, mechanical and all these other topics. we were seeing a lot of interest coming from academia, and they're saying, let's not, when we think about these STEM topics, it's not just robotics, because that's what many players were trying to sound like. And so that's when this whole STEM, which was all about, let's bring these pieces together. There are different components, right? There's science, there's technology, engineering, mathematics. And over time, we have seen many different acronyms come into play as well. People say, let's add arts in there. Some say add research. I mean, you can add different components. The bottom line is that it all needs to come together. These are not silos, right? They are all mishmashed together. And to show those disciplines to children in that connected fashion, that's the most important element. So when we began in 2011, we have the STEM for Kids as trademark. And so we actually began and we said, okay, we need to bring it all together, because it's not just about learning a little bit here in robotics or doing a little bit chemistry, learning biology. It's about bringing it all together for children. So we started doing that. And thankfully, fortunately, I mean, we have been the trailblazers in this industry. When people were not even thinking about computer science for young children, we were the first ones to start offering computer sciences for elementary age children. When people are not thinking about biomedicals, how the field of biomedicine is coming together, we were the first ones to announce biomedical engineering programs. So we have been trailblazers in this industry, and there's a reason for that, because the market is changing. What was relevant 10 years ago is not so anymore. And then there's also this aspect of, let me just take a simple example. It's like as I said, many players in the market, they make at least parents and the children, they make them believe that, at least try to, that, okay, if you do this little tiny piece, you are doing STEM. So it's like, if you do robotics, you're doing STEM, or if you do coding, you're doing STEM. But I think the key, it's almost as absurd as saying that, if you know how to add, mathematics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's so much happening in the world of STEM. So we said, our approach was, let's show that diversity, that breadth of what's available, because when we work with the young children at that age group, parents don't know what their children would have interest in. The child definitely doesn't know anything. And the focus becomes, let's show them all these different elements. And for me, when I was beginning this, I had my own young children at that point. They were like 5 or 6 years old. And we were, as any other parent, we were putting them into swimming classes, karate, soccer. And I'm like, okay, why can't I find something to do these other things, right? And there was nothing, and that's how I got started. But I think that's the whole point, right? Let's give them opportunities so they can explore. Here's something on robot. Here's something on inside our human body. Here's something about aerospace. So that's what we've done. Long answer to your question, but overall that has been the focus, and that's what we see happening in industry. That it's parents, educators demanding that, okay, let's look at this holistic picture and present that to the children.
Wow. That is really cool, especially at that age, I think, because, well, I was fortunate enough to go to a vocational high school, which meant that I had a smattering of different types of, from automotive mechanics to body shop and electronics and woodworking and welding and all kinds of things like that. So that was further on, though. That was in high school, but actually getting these children involved in STEM at a much earlier age, I think it's going to guide them much better to where they feel that their attributes are.
I think it also changes the way they think, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was at a parent-teacher conferences today with my son, and he was taking me through some of their highlights in math, and then even through language arts, and his thought process and the way he goes about solving problems were things that when I was his age, I had no idea, could not have done what they're doing today. And I think a lot of it with STEM and other things within the school system is really putting our kids at a big advantage, certainly from where I was when I was in elementary and middle school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is actually a very big shift, again, because of the way the world has evolved, right? In the past, when we were in schools, we were focused more on, let's give the content learning to kids, right? The concept. Here's the concept. Here's what you do. But in today's world, you can Google anything. I mean, you don't have to be in a classroom setting to learn something, right?
Right.
So it's not so much about concepts. It's about how do you bring it together? What do you do? How do you think? I mean, those other skill sets which are becoming so important. And I think that's what it's taking content and making it more. You think about these words like metacognition, right? Thinking about thinking, the critical thinking. I think all those elements really are becoming a lot more important, and that's why something like what we do at STEM for Kids is there is content, but around with that is all the softer skills, the communications, the collaboration, thinking, and all focus shifting. So yeah, I think those things become more relevant and more important as we think about education going forward.
So that actually lets children see how everything is interrelated. Everything. Before that, you have to be a physicist. I'm getting a this, which means it's time for a break.
No, not quite. But so one of our watchers on Facebook said, this is a great topic. We need to make learning STEM more relatable and fun for kids.
Yeah.
How do you make it more fun? I always thought you should be educational and entertaining because everyone fell asleep in a calculus class at least once.
Edutainment.
Education.
Entertainment. So
and we're edutaining. So trying to leverage off the comment from Carly, how do you make it more relatable and more fun?
Absolutely. I'll begin by saying STEM for Kids began with a mission. The mission is making STEM fun and real. Two things, fun and real. Those are the only two things that we do, and we do it really well. So how do you make it fun? If you think about fun, it comes down to how a child feels when they are engaging with whatever concept, whatever they're doing. It's that feeling, right? So for us, that comes down to, let's make it very hands-on. So when the child is learning something, they are doing something, they're involved, their hands are involved, they're doing something, maybe they're experimenting, they are thinking about something, maybe they're presenting. So it's always, there's a do element involved in that. So very different from if you imagine a typical classroom, a teacher is giving a class and children are listening. This is a very interactive with very less theory, right? So we are engaging children in questioning, answering. They're involved. We are doing there are quizzes sometimes. We are doing game shows. We are doing Jeopardy. We are doing making something. There are engineering challenges involved. So just to give you an idea, just to give an example, we may be talking about mechanical engineering, and in that concept we discussed things like laws of motion, and I don't want to go into all the details, but we may give them an engineering challenge and say, okay, children, here we are giving you some materials, and go make a car out of this. We don't tell them do this step A, B, C, make it like that. No. We are basically showing them here is a challenge, and then the children start working in teams, and they are working out solutions. They have been given a piece of paper. Okay, so what are the properties of this piece of paper? Can you fold them? Can you put them and maybe make a chassis out of that? You have been given a skewer. What are the properties of the skewer? Can it become maybe an axle for the car? So they are the ones doing that imagination, creative thinking, and coming up with a solution. And I'll tell you this, a very simple exercise like that, and we have been doing it for 8 years. That's only one of the numerous that we do. And even in those 8 years, there are times when we come across a unique design because a child just dreamt up something totally different. So it's so incredible that number one, these children are very creative, and number two, when you put them and you give them a challenge, they're able to work up, create something. And when they're doing that, it's a lot of fun because they are involved, they're working together. Another example, they're making computer games. And I see this, Kristin, back to your point about girls. I see girls making they're thinking about their game, like characters and placement, almost like a movie. And they're thinking about what needs to go where. And I see them making buildings which have polka dot on them. There are purple flowers on the street. And then I go to a boy's creation, and I may see things like, black, dark sceneries and whatnot. So, but it's so, and they are involved. They are the ones creating and imagining and creating those solutions. So I think that's the way to keep it fun, make it very, very hands-on. Fred, I hope I answered that question for you.
Absolutely. That's, and I'm sorry, but I'm a little bit jealous of kids today. I feel they have so much more of an opportunity than we did, because like I said, we had all the not all of them, but many of the elements that are being taught today. But if we were able to visualize how they are all interconnected and then have someone, coach us like you are coaching your students, that's fantastic. It really is.
Well, I know for me, we learned, we had science and we had math, but we didn't learn technology, and I didn't go through any engineering. Those were things that you hit, like we talked about in high school, or when you specialize it in college. And I think the great point that Moni has been making is that by engaging these kids when they're young, it gets them interested, it gets their creativity going, it gets them thinking about all these different things in different ways. And I could see it really making big differences. I love the idea that the girls, make a wall and they use, pink polka dots. My daughter took Legos, and in Legos, she took all of her brother's Legos and she designed a complete shopping mall with a hair salon, and she had all these little pieces. It was crazy, but
oh wow,
her brothers had no clue what the heck she was doing with their, Lego police, and she transformed them into an entire shopping mall. So I think it's great to see, we all know that boys and girls think differently. They are creative in different ways. And so it's very interesting to me. It makes me excited for your franchise. It makes me think, oh my gosh, I really want to do that. I have to pull myself back and realize you can't do anymore. But, it sounds like it's a ton of fun, and I think you guys will be wildly successful at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've stepped down from as president of the PTA. You could do this instead of that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's an important point for anybody even listening to this podcast. If you are a parent or a PTA member and you feel like this is something that can benefit your school, we do provide our services. Where if we have a local operation, we can provide like an instructors and actually conduct classes. But also, if we are not there physically, close enough, we also provide our curriculum and our professional development for the teachers in school district. Many school districts are using that. So in any case, it's all about serving children and bringing some of these quality programming. So yeah, I mean, if your listeners are interested in even finding and making some of these programs come into their schools, they can reach out to us. We'll be glad to help out.
All right. So on that note, we'll start the commercial cycle, and then we'll come back for round.
I think I'm going to move to someplace warmer during the commercial. Go ahead.
That's fine. We're going to, at this point, have to say goodbye to our Instagram viewers. But hopefully they've enjoyed this, and we'll see you next week to those on Instagram. Want to thank the Link Local Network for broadcasting our show. You can read their community voices as they work to achieve work-life balance. And actually, they're, I guess, working toward achieving work-life balance was because of Kristin. You're kind of the ideological founder of this program.
Apparently.
We've added a couple of new shows each week, including Community Voices Chat on every other Wednesday at, I think it's 4 p.m. Pacific, although that time may change. And now, localnetwork.com. You can also dial in at 323-580-5755 or chat on, as others are doing, on a whole lot of places.
Hey, franchise owners, how's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new movements to your local area? At Westvyne, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who need an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westvyne.com. That's 805-265-5440 or westvyne with a y.com.
Thanks, Michelle. And we're back. And we've got a hat change there. We have a hat change there. They would have been very happy with you pre-Super Bowl loss. Actually picked up a new subscriber from our first Instagram post. So hey, wow, I guess we'll keep broadcasting to Instagram. So Moni, I got to ask you, as you've attracted franchisees, where has their experiences come from? I know with Ray, he'll tell you he was a tech guy and never expected to be cleaning toilets. And Kristin was an HR woman who actually, was cleaning up after.
It's different kind of trouble, but
Yeah.
How'd you do? Who's that, experientially wise, who's that franchisee that you've been seeing, that you've attracted?
Okay, so let me make sure I understand the question. So you're talking about experiences of our franchisees, where they come from?
Yeah. Where they come from?
Okay. Yeah, it's varied, and just like I mean, for me as well, I never imagined I was going to be in education space. We have many people who have come from like a STEM background. Some of them have come from a profession. They were in there, and then they were looking for a better control, legacy creation, so on and so forth. We also have people, marketeers, entrepreneurs. We also have people from restaurant side, real estate. So it's a combination. We have, of course, homemakers also part of this. There are many times we see people take a kind of a backseat from their career and say, I'm going to spend some time with my kids. And this is, kid-friendly business. Kids are welcome. So there, even people have been able to make that transition, going back into into a career by taking a business like STEM for Kids. So it has been a combination, Fred.
Okay,
Would you say?
I was going to say, over the year, where would you like to see the majority, or anywhere, of your new franchisees come from? Either geographically, one of our co-hosts, they want to also get to the Southwest because, of course, they like to travel there. So they're trying to grow in the Southwest. Where would you expect or like to have, I guess is the question, your franchisees coming from? Academic, educational background, non-educational background, geographic area?
I think this is the case where basically everyone is welcome. We are focusing geographically on some of the more prominent states. I mean, I wouldn't say more prominent. I will say states which are easier to work with. Let's put it that way, because you know about the registration and everything else that happens. Other than that, even outside of US, other countries have been approaching us as well. So we are open to business across the board at this point in time, and that's the good thing, that we have many markets open. So your listeners, whatever geography you are in, please, I mean, if you are interested in opening up a franchise, let's talk, and we can see if we can make that happen for you.
Where are you at now? What areas of the U.S. are you in, and what other countries?
We are in 14 states here in U.S.
Oh, okay.
And it is pretty spread out. I think we are maybe more on the eastern coast at this point in time, but we are even in like Midwest. We are in Illinois. and also in West Coast actually. So I think we are in all the places represented here on this call at least. And then we are in Canada, Mexico, and then also in the Middle East, in UAE and Saudi Arabia. So we are in a couple of different geographies right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I think, oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Well, one of the things we didn't talk about, because Fred decided to just kind of skip right over that, is weather. So you are in North Carolina, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
I got overwhelmed by the second anniversary. I'm sorry.
Can't hear you, Fred. You're talking into your chest.
I said I got overwhelmed by it being the second anniversary, and
What
yeah,
can I tell you? You know.
missed weather.
One thing I wanted to say to Moni that I think is important, and you touched on a little bit, the diversity of the people that you have owning your franchise. Franchising in and of itself is such a great model, and I'm sure that it is with your platform as well, because if you have a strong franchisor, just as you said, whether you're a homemaker, whether you come out of tech, whether you're coming out of the restaurant industry, right? You have to have that passion, and you have to be willing to go out and take a chance and work hard. But just because it's STEM for kids doesn't mean that you need to come from a teaching background. It doesn't mean that you need to be a chemist or an engineer, you know, and I think that's the great thing about franchising. So for people out there who are really considering a second career, stepping back a bit and spending more time with their kids. I mean, that's what drove me to look for a franchise. I think it's great.
Yeah, very well said, Kristin.
Yep. I can see where this could be a really big hit, because a lot of people go into the teaching end of things because simply the fact that when you see that light bulb go off in someone, and especially a child, when you show them something and they go, wow, that is really cool. You know, I can see it definitely selling. You know, there's no, you probably don't have to do much selling at all once you start explaining your franchise. But that leads me into what is all involved with your franchise. And it's going to be a physical place where people go to learn, but you also mentioned going into schools. So how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So that's one of the unique thing about our model is that we do not mandate a space. So a franchisee does not need to have at least a 24/7 storefront. That's not a requirement. So if I can take an analogy with it's almost like an Uber-like model. You don't have to have a fleet of your own cars or have your own car. You know, you basically we are creating collaboration with people or businesses who already have the car, and we say, okay, you know, let's use the car for an hour and offer our programs, or use for 2 hours, and so on and so forth. It's a great model, because unlike some of the other franchise concepts where, you know, you're given a territory and you say, okay, go open a center here, and you are almost constrained by geography, distances, how much people are willing to travel to come to your center. In our case, what we say is, here's your territory, go open as many as you want within that territory. And what people are able to do, what our franchises do, is that they will collaborate with community centers, multiple schools. You know, they could collaborate with maybe a dance studio, any other possibilities like that, and be able to offer your program in different parts of that territory. So you're really trying to maximize the potential of that market. So that's how this model works. And the other side effect of that is that it's a low cost entry, right? You're not dealing with fixed leases and things like that. So, and that's something we actually find that most of our franchises love, that flexibility, being able to offer these programs from so many different locations. And that actually is also something that, even if you think about the biggest aggregator of children, our customers are the schools, and they love that too, right? Because now our programs can go into the school setting, almost like you bring the program to the mall, right? Yeah. And they are getting served right there, as opposed to the parent figuring out, oh, I need to pick up my child from this school, take them to this center, and so on and so forth. So it becomes a convenience aspect for our customers as well.
That's awesome.
So what does it take to get involved in your franchise? In other words, what are your requirements of a potential owner of your franchise?
Yeah, going back to what Kristin was describing, that passion, piece is really important, because at the end of the day, people don't wake up saying, "I'm going to, educate children," right? Just like people don't say, "I'm going to go clean toilets," right? There is something different. There's something that's driving people who are looking to build a business. I always encourage people saying, don't think about you doing it yourself. You have to be able to hire people, build an organization, because that's the way you grow. And as I mentioned, the backgrounds can vary. It's that passion, the learning agility that we look for in our in the franchisees, as well as the having some experience, whether being involved with schools or PTAs, or in a corporate setting, being able to do biz dev, sales, marketing. And with any new business, you need some of those skill sets to be able to position a new business. The technical side is something that we do train once the people are hired, the instructional staff, and we call them STEM coaches, by the way. So STEM coaches, as franchises hire them, we provide training on all those technical topics so that they are ready to go and conduct these programs.
Monetarily, what does it cost you to get involved in your franchise, or are there different levels?
Yeah, I mean, they can get started for under 20 grand here in US. So under $20,000.
Sorry, you have to stop the answer over there, because you said the word marketing earlier. So we had to give you a round of applause. And Ray did not give time for the question to be asked to get the round of applause for you saying the word marketing. Sorry. The rituals must be enforced on our second panel. So, please start the answer again, because you were drowned out by the applause you were getting.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, what does it take? What does a potential buyer of your franchise, what does he need to bring to the table, in both in franchise fees and what he has in reserve?
Yeah, so our single territory initial franchise fee is only $12,500, and with one territory, franchises can begin for under $20,000. And what we typically see is most of our franchises actually are multi-territory owners, so they will add on more territories just to kind of have a bigger hold on the market. So if they did that, they can you can of course go up proportionately. So from an initial investment perspective, it's really something that people can get in and start monetizing the business opportunity itself. So that's the financial side. We already talked about the skill sets and everything. Again, I think it really just comes down to people who bring the right passion, the drive to make a change, and make money. Really, you are in the business to make money, and while you're serving children.
What is your longest serving franchise? The longevity?
Not too far from you. Our longest serving franchise actually is in the US, the Wisconsin's Illinois state line region. And she has been with us for 4 years now. Yeah, and doing amazing. We are just thrilled to have her. And it's just awesome what she has done in the market. When she began, it was a complete greenfield setting. When you don't see too much happening from a STEM perspective, that's when she began, and she's doing really well. She and her organization.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Crystal Lake area, in Crystal Lake, Illinois area. Sorry, I might know somebody who'd be interested in.
Selfishly.
Crystal Lake, I'm not sure if that's all. I think that may be available. I'm not sure, but we can definitely look into that, Fred.
Well, that's Illinois Wisconsin line.
Yeah, it's up north in Illinois.
That's I used to live up there before, long time ago. So I remember Crystal Lake, but I'm not able to visualize if that's in Donna's territory or not. But we can definitely look into that.
Let's put it this way: it's snowy and cold there, which is where we are. Is not.
Will you have a mouse in your pocket?
No, at least 2 of us on this call. It is not cold where we are. Yeah. And now we'll remind callers that they can, or listeners, viewers, wherever you are, you can chat at the website, pillarsoffranchising.com, linklocalnetwork.com, Facebook, YouTube, Restream,
It is
Twitter,
all over the place.
all over the place. Or you can dial in at 323-580-5755, and we might put you on the air. Ooh.
Ever wonder how successful business people get educated about franchise business options? The Franchise Consulting Company is a group of over 100 franchise professionals with more than 2,000 years of franchise experience. We help our clients select and investigate franchise companies. And like a realtor, our services are free of charge to you. Our fees are paid by the seller. Reach out to us to learn more and get a free copy of the Franchise MBA, the #1 bestseller and highest reviewed book on Amazon in the franchise category. Our website is thefranchiseconsultingcompany.com, or feel free to call us on 800-321-6072.
And those of
Ever wonder how successful business people...
It's not going to...
Are you thinking about opening a business? Whether you're in transition from a corporate job, looking to generate investment income, add to your existing business, or just too young to retire, come to the Great American Franchise Expo and explore your options. Meet face-to-face with dozens of franchise executives representing dozens of quality brands. A wide range of price points and ownership models are available. Attend our free seminars on accounting, real estate, and marketing. Franchise law experts will be there to answer your questions, and banks are on hand to discuss loans and financing. The first 100 attendees will receive free VR goggles. For free tickets, visit www.franexpousa.com.
And folks, the next two events are in Houston, February 22nd and 23rd at the Stafford Center, and in Tampa, which sounds even more warm, and that nice little Gulf breeze at the Tampa Convention Center, March 14th and 15th. And we are back. So, one other thing. As Nick said, you can call him up and get a copy of the Franchise MBA, which is like under a bunch of wires, but we'll get it there, folks. This year, great book. Mine's dog-eared. So if you fill out the form on the pillarsoffranchising.com website, you not only get the free book, but you get a set of VR gear. So how's that? Virtual reality and a book. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Then you can virtually open your own business.
Virtually.
I've been looking at how we could do Pillars of Franchising in virtual reality. We'll see. Wouldn't that be weird?
Oh, I don't know if you want to go there.
So, I'll take, since we're talking about various things about the franchise, in my head, the greatest cure known to mankind of the franchise is greatest cure known to mankind for insomnia is the franchise disclosure doc. So I know franchisees who never bothered to read it and still bought, but what are the first 3 things you would recommend a potential franchisee read from an FDD, just in general?
Yeah, I think one of the first questions people always are looking for an answer is, how much does it cost to get in? So it's the item 7. I think that's the very first one to definitely look at. I am looking at the litigation history. I don't remember what item number that is, but I think that is an important one to see. And the third one will be item 19 if it's provided by the franchisor, because that's telling you about how the business is doing overall. But if the franchisor is not providing that, looking at the audited financials of the franchisor. Again, I don't remember the item number for that, but there are audited financials. Looking at that, and sometimes the footnotes on that give you a lot more intelligence about what's happening in business as well.
You'll be happy to know that there are several lawyers as well as CPAs that would agree wholeheartedly with everything you said.
Yeah. So I noticed there was a mention of STEM for Kids Network. What is that, and how can people get involved?
Yeah, so when we think about STEM for Kids, right, we think about all the children that we touch, their parents, the educators, the teachers, principals, school superintendents, of course, our franchisees, their employees. So that's what when we think about STEM for Kids, think about that network. And in terms of how people can get involved overall, the first thing really is if you are a parent, PTA member, and you want a change in your school, let us know. As I mentioned before, we can either bring our services directly in there, or if we can't do that, we'll train the teachers. So that way, the STEM programs can be offered. If you are a business owner and you're looking to diversify revenue, again, there'll be opportunities here. Just because there's so much industry demand for STEM. And we have some of our newest franchises actually have come down that route. So maybe you're running a gaming studio or a dance studio. So those will be the opportunities. The other piece I also want to mention is that if you represent a company and you think about how to be more socially responsible. Right, and that's something we hear a lot about these days as a company. Our franchises also get involved in helping companies with their CSR initiatives, the corporate social responsibility. We have worked with Boeing and other companies. So if you are thinking about some of those initiatives in your market, working with children, I mean, there can be nothing better than trying to work with children and doing something good in the community. So again, we'll be happy to help out with some of those CSR initiatives as well for the companies out there.
That's a great way to get yourself involved in motivating your own children.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kristin?
So Moni, do your children work in the business now that you've raised them as you began this journey?
Well, you talk about my children. They were the inspiration for this whole thing. And my first two, actually, my older two, they're teenagers now. And my son, actually, when he was 7 years old, he actually helped us write the robotics curriculum that we use in STEM for Kids. And it is so amazing. He came to me, said, "Mom, can I have a robotics kit?" And I was still thinking, oh, it's very pricey. But then he says, "If you give it to me, I will learn how to do it and I can help you write a curriculum." And I said, "Sure." And then I actually, connected my son with one of our best STEM coaches, and that's how our robotics curriculum came into play. So effectively, they have been working in the business ever since. They have always been our guinea pigs, always. We write something to try them out on them and their friends. So yeah, but now I think as they have grown into teenagers, they are helping in other parts of the business as well. So absolutely, I think it's just it's nice to have that energy coming from their help as well.
Excellent.
That's pretty cool.
Sorry, is anyone catching an echo?
No.
No.
Okay.
There's
Thought it was
echo. There's no echo.
Okay. Time to go down the rabbit hole.
That's what I figured. I was giving you that opportunity, Fred.
Yeah. This seems slightly applicable since we are talking about STEM technology, things like that. So, how much alien technology in Area 51 do you think has influenced STEM education in general? Sorry.
Alien technology. Okay. Great question. I'm sure things like, virtual reality, looking at what's the rate at which the aliens are coming, falling down from the sky, figuring out do we drill and make a bunker in the under the earth as the aliens attack. I mean, all those things, there's a technology part to that in solving these challenges. So I'm sure all of that is part of what we do. And as a matter of fact, when our franchises go out and teach young children, they are thinking about some of different scenarios. We have children thinking about how do they go to space and maybe even bring alien back home, or perhaps maybe there's some technology already that is being used in Area 51 that they can make it main scale and bring a new business opportunity, a new product out there, and make it a mass scale opportunity.
And what do they do? What do they do in the apocalypse, right? In an alien apocalypse, where do I go? What do I do?
Maybe they'll be creating those contraptions, right, that shoot the zombies back up in the sky.
Yes.
Nope. Now we've gone to zombie apocalypse. Not different down the rabbit hole question. Only one. So we have to.
How is that not in the rabbit hole?
Now, we're gonna have to do a whole rabbit hole show now. So, Kristin, we've gone down the rabbit hole. You get your last question, and then Ray's going to take his famous last question, and we'll mercifully end our 2-year anniversary show.
All right. So as franchisees or franchisor, do you have a special cause that you support? Obviously, supporting children and all that you do is a very big thing. But do you have any other special causes that you support within your businesses?
So basically, helping out children is the biggest thing that we do. And we then help and partner with other, whether it's schools or other organizations, and, the causes that they're working on. We do see a lot of interest in getting more girls into STEM. We have worked with people focusing on bringing more entrepreneurship education to young children, financial literacy. So it's basically any and all, and as I mentioned, with the CSR efforts that we do, we work with the partner we're working with in terms of supporting some of their causes. But I think it's the children piece that basically keeps us all ticking. I would say that everybody in the network, we're all about serving children.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Thank you.
So I feel this is such an exciting franchise that you're going to get a lot of phone calls. So other than phone calls, which we'd like to have your phone number, or our listeners would like, how else can we get a hold of you? How can people get a hold of you if they're even a little bit interested in your franchise?
The best way would be go on our website, stemforkids.net. It's all letters, STEM, FORKIDS.net/franchise. You'll see a lot of information there. We actually have 24/7 chatting service, live people that are there to help address your questions. And of course, we'll be happy to then have more one-on-one discussions with you right after. If you like to call, then we have, the number is 866-991-7053. And would be happy to help find the right match for you and go from here.
Excellent. And of course, that information will be on our webpage, Fred.
Oh. Yeah. Actually, I think much of it is already. I'm not sure.
All right. Good.
So phone number got to stick on there, but the links to the website, yeah, that's all good stuff there. I noticed you said live person, so you don't have zombies to take care of.
No zombies.
That's a beginning.
If we can get them out of politics, never mind. I'm Fred McMurray with my co-host Ray Pillar and Kristin Selmeczy. Did I get it right?
No.